households.
Nancy, tell people how they can follow Liberty Watch.
Liberty Watch right now is on Facebook. It is a public Facebook page, so you don't have to be a Facebook member to view the content. So it's facebook.com/LibertyWatchCO. You can also reach us via email at libertywatchco@yahoo.com. If you want to volunteer to help us look at some of these bills, we're always in need of more volunteers. And if you have any comments about, some of the positions we've taken, we are also welcome to that. As with all of the representatives, we do try to get dialogue going as much as we can with the representatives on bills, whether it's a bill we support or oppose.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Back to questions.
Actually, it's kind of a two-part question. I mean, everybody's been kind of talking, kind of rah-rah, what's going on. My concerns, and first off, Chris, I appreciate everything that you're doing in Douglas County. I'm a resident in Douglas County. I'm a resident in Lone Tree, and phenomenal job. So going back to doing a little cheerleading, I appreciate that. However, what I am concerned with right now is I have not heard really anybody address in the last, month or so, really with the whole concept that Denver is, a city, an amnesty city. We're protecting our illegal aliens, etc. Whatever. I'm seeing it even in Douglas County. I've called and tried to report certain situations in Lone Tree regarding several areas with new construction going up. It's pretty obvious what's going on. Nobody wants to really address it. And not only, I would say, in Lone Tree, but I work around a lot of builders, and they kind of had an attitude where they're boasting about it. They're boasting what they can get away with. I received an email, actually just before I walked in here, about a lot of states going to e-verification. First off, why aren't the business owners being punished for bringing people on board without verification? The resources are in place. We have all this technology that's out there, and yet they're bringing this cheap labor in. And it all kind of ties in with everything that's going on across the country right now.
Right, Chris, you want to try to address that?
He's a constituent.
I know, that's why you get to go first.
The question is about how or whether your state government, your local governments are adequately dealing with the effects of illegal immigration, particularly in employment matters. I wish that Senator Harvey were still here. He did run, was it Senate 90 in 2006? Senate Bill 90 that prohibits sanctuary cities in Colorado. The interesting thing that I learned about what we did in Colorado and what Arizona attempted through Arizona 1070, had the opportunity in August to meet with Senator Russell Pierce down there, and what an amazing man he is and an inspiration. But the piece of 1070 that I think we're missing in Colorado, and we would never get through the Senate right now. So am I making excuses? I suppose some could be critical and say you're offering an excuse, but it is a reality. The Senate here will never do this. But the interesting piece of 1070 that I never hear the media talk about is the right of people of Arizona to sue a jurisdiction that isn't following the law, that is allowing sanctuary activities. And citizens of Arizona under 1070 would be allowed to sue a jurisdiction, a city, a town, a sheriff's department, a police department that is operating in a sanctuary way and not obeying the law. The citizens could sue and collect $7,500 per day that the law wasn't being kept. And that would be a great way, I think it is a great solution, for we, the people, to hold those elected officials, those different jurisdictions accountable. We don't have that, and that's the one piece that I think that is missing in Colorado Senate 90 that Senator Harvey sponsored and got passed, that it outlaws sanctuary cities, those kinds of activities, but we don't have a way to enforce that. We don't have a way, we don't have those teeth. As far as E-Verify and employment verification, again, I think that would be a challenge to move through the Senate. I believe that Senator Harvey has got a bill to do that. Lori might...
They did, but they killed it. He did run E-Verify. They killed it.
Shocker. And would I like to shore that up? Yes. But I tell you, my view, having been down to the border in August. We spent a week down there, and for a while we went where our Border Patrol won't go and spent a lot of time there, and it's scary. It is my opinion that we need to, as a nation, recognize that what's happening down on the border isn't a law enforcement issue. And until we decide to deal with that fully as a nation, we are treating symptoms here by getting tough on employers. Are employers flaunting the law? I'm sure that you could find examples of that, and I have no fondness for people who do that. I am a law-abiding citizen, and I want to stand for the rule of law. So I'm with you there. But that isn't going to solve the problem. We have, in my opinion, law enforcement entities on the border dealing with lawless paramilitary folks who don't care. They don't care about your safety or anyone else here. They don't care about the law. And we, again, are treating or addressing that with law enforcement, saying, you know, you're not supposed to be here. The folks on the other side will shoot first and not bother to ask questions later. And I understand recently that we went at them with beanbags. So we've got to change our attitude on the border before we really make any significant impact there.
Senator Mitchell or Representative Beezley, did you want to add to that?
Given the time, I think we should.
Okay, go ahead. Kim, sorry.
Yeah, I'm Shawn Marshall. I have a question on redistricting issues of great importance for the state, and you also pointed out the very slim margin between Republicans and Democrats in the legislature. Is there any concern about maybe Democratic action to flip somebody and change that in the near term?
Well, if that happened, it would happen in the House, so it should probably be one of these two gentlemen that comments on it.
Is anybody trying to flip you, Don, or Chris?
Yeah. I've heard speculation of approaches to a particular moderate member in a competitive district. I don't know whether they're founded on anything or if they're nervous speculation.
Yes, ma'am.
This may seem silly, but looking over the Liberty Law on H. Bill 11-1207, it says House amended to make tax voluntary to charge and voluntary to pay. Now, if a tax is voluntary, nobody's going to pay it, or only those people who feel like it. The question is, what happened in the House that prevented you from killing this bill?
Nancy, is this Liberty Watch? You want to start for the first minute? Let me check it out.
A little bit of history on 1207.
Just for time. Just remember, we'll try to answer this in a minute or two.
Originally it was a fee. It was called a movie fee, which we, from faster experience, it's not really a fee, it's a tax. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of heated, I think, discussion. There were many people emailing and writing, and so in the end, what they did is they amended it so that it's not it's voluntary for the movie theaters to charge it, and it's voluntary for the people to pay it.
Even though we're in a hurry, I think this is worth grabbing for a minute because I want to mention two very disappointing things about that bill. Besides the silliness of charging a fee to subsidize movie production based on the argument that it's good economic development, two things were troubling about that. Number one was its Republican sponsorship, but number two was the abuse of the concept of fee. Fee means government charging you for a service that it is providing you. Fee is a concept enshrined in Tabor because Doug Bruce wanted to get around the argument that we would have to get a vote of the people for CU to raise its tuition. So he allowed fee setting to be flexible by the service provider. What politicians in a time of, number one, we're always afraid of proposing tax increases, and number two, right now we don't have enough money, or at least we think we don't have enough money, and we're even more afraid of proposing tax increases. Politicians are using the concept of fee to try and raid your pockets by any pretext they can to spend it wherever they want to. That was in no way a fee for a service that was being provided to the moviegoers. And what's troubling was, even if the Republicans thought they had a specific economic argument for that bill, they further endorsed and ratified the concept of bastardizing the word fee for any way politicians can try and grab your money.
And I think that the Grassroots Society did actively oppose that as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think what Representative Massey ended up doing was amending it so he wouldn't have to just completely withdraw it, because I think it's pretty much meaningless at this point.
That's the other political strategy. When your bill is going to lose, water it down to nothing and pass it anyway.
I said that, Carl. You got that question. We'll probably do at least one more, and then everybody wants to have 1 minute to wrap up.
Yeah, Carl Hoops here. Senator Mitchell, I really appreciate you being here and your years of excellent service to conservative causes and liberty causes. On either side of you are a couple of rookies who are making a lot of headlines. I just want to compliment Representative Beezley, our TV star, and
Shorty, we call.
And my good friend, who is doing yeoman's work on Second Amendment and voter registration for U.S. citizens only. Really appreciate your work, Chris, very much. My question is, there are a couple guys here in the audience who would love to get just a little bit of help in another year and a half with redistricting. Can you tell me a little bit about how that process is going to work? What do you see coming out of that? You made some comments about the redistricting. I'd be interested in the reapportionment.
Redistricting done by the legislature for the congressional seats. Reapportionment draws state legislative districts, and the legislature doesn't do that. It is the appointed commission that is staffed by choices from political leadership of both chambers, the governor's office, and the tie-breaking vote, the block control appointment is up to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Originally the theory was, well, the judge will be nonpartisan. Over the years that has not been the case. Mary Malarkey and we'll wait until we see Michael Bender's fingerprints on the murder weapon, but I suspect he will be no cleaner than Mary Malarkey has been in terms of partisan or nonpartisan. Once that commission is staffed, they go through a process similar to the one that was described for the legislators doing congressional districts. They travel the state, they get hearings, and they produce a map. If this commission acts in as partisan a way as the last commission does, it's likely they'll squeeze every beneficial, every safer Democratic seat they can get out of the process. I can't offer you a more cheery report than that.
And have those members been appointed yet, any of them?
Not that I know of.
I agree. I'm not aware of any of those members being appointed. In House and Senate leadership, the governor and the Supreme Court justice get to appoint members to that bipartisan panel that will draw those new House and Senate districts. In Douglas County, we've had tremendous population growth. And remember, this is all based on census data. And what has your area done over the past 10 years since the last census relative to the rest of the state? Douglas County's had tremendous growth. Right now we have basically 2.5 House seats, and we're going to go to 3.69 House seats. And that means like someplace like Denver, for instance, might lose one, and that's a good thing. So that's about all I know.
So Carl, that'll help the legislative makeup, but it won't do a heck of a lot for a seat in the North Metro area.
Move to Douglas County now.